I'm really happy to welcome today to the first day of MIDIMNet coverage for digital music trends, Daren Tsui, who is the CEO of the company Mspot. So hi Daren, and thanks for meeting me as first thing in the morning here at MIDIM.
Thank you for the opportunity.
So first of all, let's talk about Mspot, because maybe some of my listeners in Europe may not have heard of the company. So can you introduce the company a little bit and talk about what you do?
Sure. Mspot, we've been around since the end of 2004. We focus on cloud-based entertainment services. We've spent the past 6.5 years basically building a media platform that allows us to launch services like a music locker service. We also have a full-length movie service, as well as a streaming radio service. We have been focusing pretty much in North America, specifically in the U.S. as well as Canada. And we're here today at MIDIM to talk about the launch of our music locker service in Europe, and we're very excited to basically start branching out to other parts of the world.
So yeah, let's talk about that big news of the launch in Europe. So how is that going to work? Is it going to roll out to the whole of the continent? And is it going to happen gradually, or are you starting with a beta, or how's it going to work?
Yes, so maybe I can talk a little bit about the service first.
Yeah.
And so the way that the locker service works is that you go to mspot.com, www.mspot.com. You take literally 30 seconds to do a very quick registration. Part of the registration process is you download a small application that sits in the background of your PC or your Mac, and you also let us know whether you're using iTunes or Windows Media or Winamp or maybe just your folders to manage your music. Once you give us that information, the application will start moving your music up from your PC or Mac to the Mspot cloud. And not only do we move music, we also move all the metadata, all the cover arts, all the playlists. If you ever rated any songs, we have all that information, and we move it up to the cloud. Also, going forward, any changes that you make, for example, in iTunes, we also reflect those changes automatically. And then once your music and all your information is sitting in the Mspot cloud, you can have access to it using popular browsers from your PC, from your Mac, at work, at your friend's house. There's no application that you have to download and set up, so everything is very, very quick. As well as we also support a lot of different smartphones. We have an Android version, an Apple version. We also support different tablets and slates. We also support the iPad. As well as about 2 weeks ago, we made the announcement that our movie and our music services are also available on Google TV. So we're starting to branch out on TV as well. Yeah. Regarding how we're branching out in Europe, right now we are calling the service a beta. The reason is that we have not finished our billing feature yet. In other words, users can access the Music Locker service free of charge to store up to 2 gigabytes of music. In the U.S. right now, you can upgrade for additional storage for a nominal fee of $3.99 in the U.S. We are currently working on a payment system here in Europe, and so once we have a payment system to do the same thing, then we'll come out of beta.
Yeah. Sure. And in terms of the technology that you use, you talked about a proprietary technology when we were doing some prep earlier. So how does the streaming work? And can you talk a little bit about the way in which the mobile application works as well, in the way that they cache the music from the cloud?
Sure. Yeah. We get asked this question a lot, how our service compares to some of the competition. And, in addition to some of the features, which we can talk about a little bit later, we really focus on the experience. So first thing is that from the browser side, you'll notice that we wrote our applications using JavaScript, HTML5. Because it's in Java rather than in something like Adobe Flash, the application is lightning quick. It starts up right away, and then when you play a song, it plays immediately. You're able to sort different columns just like you would with, for example, using iTunes, all very, very, very quickly, even though the data is sitting in the cloud. It feels like everything's local. On the mobile side, we develop our own proprietary protocol. The best way to describe it is that it's kind of like a progressive download. The way it works is that when you start a song, it will start downloading the song from the cloud to your, for example, iPhone. Now, once we get the first few bytes, we start playing the song right away, so it feels very, very quick. It feels like streaming. But in the background, you'll notice also there's a status bar that show you the song download. Once the song is completely downloaded, it's actually sitting on the phone in the local cache. And the reason why we do that is that, especially on mobile, you still have, spotty coverage issues. Maybe you want to listen to your music on the airplane. By allowing us to do caching locally, you can do all that. And also the response is very, very fast because you also have a local cache as well. One thing that I also add too is that we've got very robust setting configurations that you can do on the application. So that, for example, I use my iPhone a lot for kids' cartoons. I have 2 boys, and so I use up a lot of storage for video. You can go into our application and say, I only want to use 1 gigabyte or half a gigabyte of storage for the Mspot application. There's even a checkbox that says, I just want a streaming only. I don't want to ever store anything on my phone because I use the storage for whatever other reasons. You can do all that from my application. Yeah.
And in terms of, because there's a lot of music industry people listening to the podcast naturally, and some of them might be worried about, cloud storage, what does it imply? But we were saying earlier that Mspot is actually completely closed, so you can only access your own music. How does that side work?
Yes. So this is a very personal service, meaning that it's one account from the PC or Mac to one single locker on Mspot, and then also you can sync to one portable device. So it's a one-to-one-to-one relationship. Each one of those 3 access points require a unique user ID and a password. So we don't allow sharing either out or coming in. So we really do feel that this is a very personal service, and it's really built to play music that one user owns, not multiple user owns.
And on top of the business model whereby users will be paying for a monthly fee if they want to have more storage than the 2 gigabytes on the Mspot side, do you feel like there is a possibility to expand the service to actually sell music as well with the collaboration of the labels?
That's actually a great question. We think that the locker service is quite complementary to music upsells, as well as I think some form of a subscription-based music service as well, so that users can actually listen to songs that they do not own. We are currently talking to the labels about basically having those features as a paid feature, so on top of the free tier. And I think that, knock on wood, when we are able to actually secure those licenses, I think it's going to be a fantastic service.
And one thing that intrigued me when I read about Mspot is that you decided to launch with Android last year. So why was that, and what drove you to that decision?
So this is an interesting story. This was CES in 2010. So this is in January. We still haven't made a decision on whether we're going to support Android first or the iPhone first. We met with the Android team, and we took a look at their music experience. And I don't know if you've ever seen the native music experience for an Android phone. It is not very good. So we felt that there was a larger opportunity to address a very, very big need right away. So that was one of the reasons. The second was that also the Android team were very aggressive in terms of trying to find companies like Mspot to make the media experience better in general for Android. They told us that if we can help them on the music side, there will be some marketing opportunities, and that has actually paid off very well for us because of their marketing support. Our Android application had over 1 million downloads in about 3.5 months from launch. And nobody knows about Mspot, so I really feel that's quite the feat for a company of our size to get so many downloads, and that we have a lot to thank to the Android team for that.
And the living music aside for a second, I just want to talk about your movie service as well, which is quite intriguing. So how does that part work? Is it more like a streaming service rather than a locker service?
Yes. So it is a VOD service. So it's a movie rental, and unlike companies like Netflix where they ship DVDs, we are all digital. We go out and we have agreements and licensing with all the major Hollywood studios, and so users can rent a title ranging from $2.99 to $3.99 in U.S. And you'll find that most of our content and our movies are all new releases. So these will be movies that let's say a couple of months ago were in the theater. And that's a big differentiation for us. We really focus on the new releases. Again, the theme about being able to listen to your music on a lot of different devices and platforms, same thing is true for movies. So if you rent a title from our service, you can watch it on your iPhone or your Android phone, and you can then go home and finish it on your PC or even your television, because we also support Google TV as well. And so it's a very, very nice service. And we understand that it might be a little bit difficult for folks to finish an hour and a half, 2-hour movie on the phone. But you know what? They may have 10 minutes at the doctor's office where they can just start watching it, but they don't have to be afraid that they have to finish it. They can go home and then finish the rest of the movie. So the service is great. We in the U.S., we have a lot of partnerships with the mobile carriers in the U.S., like, for example, Sprint and AT&T. We are actually exploring also making the movie service available in Europe as well. But our strategy there would probably be the same as the U.S., where we'll be looking for a carrier partnership, most likely, to launch that service.
Yeah. And going back to music for one last question is, what is your priority number one in terms of development for the Mspot music service?
So we've been in the music business for about 4.5 years now. I think that has allowed us to sort of learn from maybe some of the previous mistakes, look at current services to see how we can make it better. I still believe that there's a tremendous opportunity right now to create a service that allows passive users to be able to easily discover music through recommendations, through social sharing. A lot of services give users access to millions of songs. But the problem with those services, in my opinion, is that even though you can get access to millions of songs, it's a little bit too overwhelming for a non-audiophile, somebody that don't know music all that well but enjoys music. And so one of the things that we are working on is a very robust recommendation and discovery engine. And the reason why we feel we can do a very good job here is that we have very rich and good data about every single user. We know exactly what's in their library because they uploaded their music to our locker. We know what songs that they're listening to even recently. We think we can use all that information and then provide a great service back to the users through recommendation. So in the next 3 to 4 months, hopefully you'll be hearing announcements again from Mspot, and it's going to be more around the discovery engine.
Well, that's fabulous. Well, thanks very much for talking to us, and it was a pleasure.
Thank you very much for your time, Andrea.